In this video, we'll take a look at some survey results recently released by Kia that shine some light on the changing transportation habits of Canadians during the pandemic, how that ties into general interest in electric vehicles among the population as a whole, as well as a look at some of the challenges that have kept most Canadians from ever driving one before. I asked Michael Kopke, the Director of Marketing for Kia Canada, what they hope to do with the information they learned in their survey.
We've been at this for a while. Kia Canada, since we introduced our first Soul EV, we've delivered over 8,000 electric vehicles in the Canadian market over quite a few number of years. That number continues to grow, especially over the last 3 years. And that's important to us because we're on the precipice as we move down the Plan S, our global Plan S, which is our midterm plan. You know, the corporation's global investment and commitment to green vehicles in general is only going to grow. So we wanted to make sure that our strategy was the right one and that we understood where consumers were at.
So let's get into the numbers. According to Kia, since the pandemic began, 79% of Canadians say they feel safest traveling by car, with 38% saying they're more conscious of their life choices and impact on the environment. So an increasing shift among shoppers in general towards more sustainable choices, and the majority of those shoppers feeling safest when traveling by car.
Sounds to me like an increasing shift among shoppers in general towards more sustainable choices, and the majority of those shoppers feeling safest when traveling by car. So what can we take from that?
I think there's two things happening given the timing of the survey. It's like, I think the first thing is it's reflective of Canadians' awareness of the world, what's happening from a climate point of view. And then this idea of sustainability, it's beyond just a car, and beyond climate change. Is how do you do things in a more responsible way? That's one element. Also, you're seeing the impact of COVID, which we're living through right now. And as people are very much more aware of the importance of social distancing, et cetera, in conjunction with the green aspect of it, it sets things up nicely for us and our product portfolio.
In the broader sense, it's more people making, I guess, a lifestyle choice to be more sustainable, if I'm hearing that right.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, as Canadians, long distance is the reality, our reality, right? So people are always going to need a car.
And that's where the EV, or electric vehicle, comes in. Thing is, according to the data, although 51% of Canadians say they'd consider or intend to purchase an EV as their next vehicle to reduce their carbon footprint, 82% of Canadians have never driven an EV before. Let's look at the misconceptions behind the 47% of Canadians who said they would not be considering an EV for their next vehicle. Among this group, some 50% think that finding a charging station is a nuisance, although when you drive an EV, your house becomes your charger. You can fill the battery every night while you sleep, and on top of that, there are over 14,000 public charging ports across Canada for public charging too. Some 30% of respondents don't think they can install a charging port in their home, even though that's where 71% of EV charging takes place. Another 30% believe it takes too long to charge an EV, even if the latest fast charging capabilities mean I could add nearly 100 kilometers to this Soul EV's battery in the time it takes to get a coffee and have a washroom break. Michael Kopke calls this a biological reality that can help the first-time EV driver make an important mind shift in the way they refill or recharge their vehicle.
With the investment in infrastructure across the country, even your commute Toronto to Sudbury with the fast chargers there is a biological reality of the human being. You do need to stop every once in a while, whether you're hungry or for other reasons. And as much as people think it's a stop and go, the reality is it's 20, maybe 30 minutes, depending on that lineup at Tim Hortons. And in that 30 minutes, or just resting and exercising your legs, you can put in quite a few kilometers back into the battery.
So the first time using the Petro-Canada Fast Charge, in my case, was the Kia Soul EV, and I sort of timed it. And I was pretty impressed with coming back to the vehicle in such a short time. And I can't quite make that drive on one charge, because I believe the range is 385 kilometers and the drive is about 410. So if you're going to stop for 10 minutes, plug it into the charger, and that trip was no problem.
All Kia EVs can be recharged from nearly empty to 80% in under an hour, and that's the case for a wide range of other EVs that you might be considering too. If you can fast charge while doing groceries or grabbing lunch, then you plug in while you park, and when you come back in about an hour, well, your battery's pretty much full. And doing that once a week might be all the recharging you ever need.
I remember a comment from a video on an electric car review on YouTube some years ago, and always stuck out. And the comment was, "Have fun charging." And I thought, well, there's all kinds of fun things I could do charging. I could play Xbox, I could go snowshoeing, I could go to the beach. Because of course, with an electric car, you're filling the battery or filling the tank while you're not using the vehicle. But where does that perception come from, do you think, that the charging time is such a big deal?
I think it comes from what you're used to. And so people get into a habit of filling up once a week or twice a week on the way to work, etc. And the reality of an electric car, while it's parked, it's charging. So in the same way we always leave our house with a fully charged cell phone because we just plug it in when we go to bed at night, you do the same thing with an electric vehicle. You know, the vast majority of people with electric cars are charging at home or at work. And therefore, you're always getting in your car and you're leaving your home or your office with a full tank of gas. You know, in the case of Kia, 80% charge in less than an hour. But the reality is, in my personal situation, I have a Kia Niro, 385 kilometers of range. To and from work is only 60 kilometers.
Right.
And I need less than an hour to do that. I need probably 20 minutes on a charger to do that.
Here's my favorite figure from the survey. Among the 47% of Canadians who wouldn't consider an EV, 49% believe that EVs can't drive long distances. However, 68% of Canadian car owners drive less than 50 kilometers a day. And with affordable EVs like this Soul or Niro pushing towards 400 kilometers of driving per charge, well, imagine a totally gas-free commute with your cabin and windshield toasty warm every morning on grid power and a full battery ready to go. So in a car like this, if your commute looks similar to that of the average Canadian, you're well past a week's worth of commuting before you even have to start thinking of finding a plug. Or just plug the car in every night before bed, same as your cell phone, and like your cell phone, in the morning you wake up to a full battery. Nearly 60% of respondents who wouldn't consider an EV believe that cost is a factor, although federal and provincial incentives of no less than $5,000 and up to $8,000 combined in BC, with up to $13,000 combined in Quebec, mean that they might not be as costly as you think. There is the issue of the extreme cold faced by Canadian motorists across most of the country in winter months and its effects on the range of an EV's battery. In my circle, I hear a 50% reduction in range tossed around in conversation, though my personal experience pegs the figure at 25 to 35% depending on conditions.
What can a shopper expect with their first EV the first time they're driving it in the extreme cold?
Well, I think, Justin, you said it already, like any vehicle, depending on the conditions. There is a reality to Canada. It does get cold. And yes, batteries they can't do the full range in minus 10 degrees Celsius, etc. Now, the other reality, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You're always leaving the house with a full battery. And, as much as you might see 20, 30% drop in range, and particularly cold weather, and we're talking minus 10, minus 15, so more like Sudbury versus Toronto, we'll see a range reduction. But your reality is, even on a Niro where it's 385 kilometers, and say you drop to 280, well, that's more than enough to go to Brantford and back, which is a round trip over 200 kilometers.
In any case, this technology is coming in a big way to a vehicle near you soon. Today, an EV is a great option for more Canadians than ever, and like many of them, I'm excited to see where this technology winds up going. Well, thank you for watching. My name is Justin Pritchard for Driving.ca. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and notify down below so you never miss a new upload. And until next time, take care and drive safe.